Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This week's Torah portion, Parshas Eikev, we find something very similar to what happens 40 years earlier. And that is, Moses is now telling the Jewish people about the very, very difficult entrance into the land of Israel. There's going to be fortified cities. There's going to be children of giants. And it's very strange that Moses is scaring the Jewish people. And the words he actually uses is Shema Yisrael, Hear O Israel. Similar to the word Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, the most important prayer in Judaism. But instead, over here, he's using the word Hear O Israel and telling them about the challenges of getting into the land of Israel. And we know that the Jewish people were destined to enter straight into the land of Israel, but they were delayed by 40 years because of the terrible report that the spies came back with. But the report the spies came back with were just exactly the same. There's fortified cities here. They are children of giants. And so, what is really the difference between why is Moses scaring the Jewish people? And the answer, the Rebbe explains, is that 40 years prior to this, the spies didn't sin by bringing back a bad report. A spy is supposed to come and give a report. The report is exactly what is there. But then they added words to the report, and that is that they are even stronger than he. That already was their own opinion. And so they weren't there to give their opinion on how powerful the people were there and if God can actually win over them and the Jewish people can win over them, but what is actually there. And then we can say, we have God on our side and we're going to enter the land of Israel. But then when they use those words that they are even stronger than he, saying they are even stronger than God, that is what scared the Jewish people. And ultimately that is what got the Jewish people punished for 40 years to wander in the desert. What Moshe does is very different. He opens up with the words Shema Yisrael, Hear O Israel, reminding them of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. God is our God. He's the God in the most strongest and most powerful prayer. And yes, it is going to be very, very difficult. There are fortified cities. There is children of giants there. These are real things that we have to face. That doesn't mean that we can't accomplish it. That doesn't mean that we can't go in. That doesn't mean that we'll be victorious, but it will be difficult. It will be a strong fight. It will be a challenging experience to get into the land of Israel. And it's a very important message for our life. Sometimes we try to sugarcoat things and we try to, we tell our children and it's going to be easy, it's going to be great. And sometimes things aren't easy. Sometimes things aren't great. That doesn't mean that they can't get through it. That doesn't mean that it's not something that we can accomplish. When you tell someone it's going to be so easy and then it starts getting difficult, they're going to quit right away because you didn't tell them the brutal truth. Sometimes we have to be told the brutal truth. We have to be totally honest. It's going to be difficult. We're going to have challenges. Not always is it going to be rosy. Sometimes there's going to be anti-Semitism in our life. Sometimes there's going to be difficult times for the Jewish people. That doesn't mean that we jump ship. It means that we get stronger. Sometimes people won't even let us eat ice cream in our own land of Israel. That doesn't mean that we stop eating ice cream. And so the point is that in life, sometimes we have to realize that life isn't simple. And sometimes there are challenges and difficulties. And we have to communicate that to our families, to our children, but not by telling them our opinion that it's going to be too difficult like the spies did, but reminding them always it's Shema Yisrael like the Moses does. He opens up with Shema Yisrael. Remember, even though this might be difficult, even might be challenging, even though we go through challenges in our life, remember that God is always there with us. And if the Jewish people had that with the spies, then they would have told us, they said, okay, it's a difficult land, but they'll be able to go in the land of Israel. And instead Moses has to remind the next generation, the ones who weren't there at that time, that yes, you're going to go into the land of Israel, but God is going to be there with you. It's going to be challenging, but remember, you're always going to be carried by God through all your difficulties and challenges. And so as we go through our own challenges and difficulties in our life, we have to remember this. Shema Yisrael. Every single morning we get up, we say Shema Yisrael. We put on tefillin, we say Shema Yisrael. We go to sleep, we say Shema Yisrael. And like this, whenever we go through any difficulties and challenges in life, we know we are not there alone. But God is always there with us to take us through, and that God willing, we'll only have blessings and reveal blessings in our life, a time of peace and security for the land of Israel, a time where we won't have any more tragedy in this world. The coming of Mashiach may be very soon in our days. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Tonight, 7:30, and tomorrow morning, 10:15.